Good morning, and welcome to the Pat Donovan Show with Chris Kasak. I don't know if you know the name of this song, but I dedicate this song today to all Patriots fans.
I don't know. What's the name of the song?
Souvenir of Sadness. And that is what Patriots fans will receive as a gift from Super Bowl 46.
Well, they could throw it on the mantle with their other one.
That's it. Here we go. Nobody's dying to save the Patriots.
So would their souvenir of sadness be the AFC Championship trophy?
Yeah. Yeah, they can hang on to that thing. I don't like it, by the way. What do you think of the new trophies? You notice they have new trophies now.
No, I actually didn't notice. Like I told you before, this is like the least playoff football I've ever watched in my life. I'm quite embarrassed about it. But
I'm embarrassed for you.
As you should be.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me just to even admit that. But no, I have not seen the new trophies.
Look, I like Disney World. My wife loves Disney World. We go to Disney all the time. She knows damn well we're not going to Disney World during playoff football.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know what?
I was wondering where you were going with that. I didn't know if it was going to turn into a criticism of me or if you were going to criticize the trophies for looking like something out of Disney World.
Look, you know what? You've got a daughter.
Yeah.
So that's, you're a pretty big guy for doing that. I'll say that.
Well, thank you.
If I have ever a daughter, I'll say, honey, put the princess dress on and go in your room, and we'll go next time. Not during playoff football, but I congratulate you on being a bigger man than I am.
Well, thank you. I mean, honestly, if it were the Bucks or the Bears in that situation, and it was one of my teams, I probably wouldn't have gone to Disney World, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if the Giants weren't in it, I'm still not missing any playoff football. But, again, I congratulate you on being a better guy than I am.
I don't know about all that, but...
No, me neither.
I'll take the compliment.
Look, I try to be nice, self-deprecating humor and building up my co-host. You got to take it and run with it when you can. But no, they changed the NFC and AFC trophies. They now look exactly the same, by the way. They
Really?
used to be, a little bit different anyway. Now they're exactly the same trophy, just with different logos.
Wow. And
I'm not a fan, I think it kind of takes away from what those trophies are. And I don't know. I'm a traditionalist. But, yeah, if you've noticed on the field, have you noticed on the field they've got the logo? It's exactly the same now.
Yeah.
And the playoff logos and the Super Bowl logo will never change again. I mean, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
What they've done is tried to make it more uniform. And that's what they've done. And I don't like it. But still happy to see one of those over at MetLife Stadium for the New York Football Giants. But anyways, got to start the show off today with a bit of an apology.
About what?
To Lightning fan. Because I screwed the Lightning last night. Again.
You did.
Granted, 2 nights before, they found a way to at least win in overtime.
Because you turned them off. It's
a good point. I got home.
Yeah.
That's what happened, and didn't find the game on television. I don't know what the hell's going on with. I really think they might have moved the NBC Sports Network on DirecTV, or I'm just stupid. One or the other, or both. It's possible it's both. But yeah, we talked yesterday about how I have, for whatever reason, this awful Lightning mojo, and whenever I get in the car and turn the game on, which is automatic because when I turn the car on, hit the button, it's already on 620. And every single time, I go, oh, the Lightning game's on. And within 2 minutes, you hear Dave Michigan go from his normal self to poor Dave Michigan. I feel so bad whenever the other team scores. It's like...
It sounds like he's at a funeral or something.
Yeah. I bet he's more upbeat at a funeral.
Yeah.
I mean, he's down when the other team scores. So, again, last night, jump on. Hey, it's the Lightning game. You'd think I would have thought about it. We had that conversation yesterday during the show. So you'd think smart guy would have thought, oh, wait a second. I just talked about it this morning on my show that I'm screwing the Lightning. I can't keep this. No. I'm like, oh, it's overtime. I better keep this on. And actually, I called you. You said, hey, I'm listening to the Lightning game. It's in overtime. I said, oh, crap. I wasn't even, again, my car automatically on 620.
They weren't on 620. They're on.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't have it on.
Gotcha.
So you said, oh, it's on. I said, oh, it's over on 970. So I flip over. Within 2 minutes, there it is, 2-1. The Winnipeg Jets win what should have been a slam dunk for the Lightning, according to Chris Kasak.
It should have been a slam. I mean, I don't want to say slam dunk because any team on any given night can beat another team, but that was one that they absolutely needed, and it was one that they were in position to win. They outshot them, they outplayed them, and I mean, sometimes you just run into a hot goaltender, you just can't find the back of the net, but I mean, still picking up a point in the loss is still better than losing in regulation, especially considering that they were losing 1-0 for the majority of that game. So it was a kind of a come from behind earning of a point, but they really needed 2 there.
Yeah. Sometimes you run into a hot goaltender, and sometimes Pat Donovan screws you.
Yes.
And unfortunately,
sometimes both.
That's what happened last night, and I apologize. I will find some way Tuesday night when we go see that game at the Cage Club to block myself from hearing the radio broadcast, because the last thing I want to do is screw a whole arena full of people.
Yeah, because imagine when you just put it on briefly for a couple seconds and they give up a goal, what's going to happen if you listen to the entire game?
Yeah, it could be bad.
Yeah.
If it's a blowout Tuesday night, I'm getting escorted out of the building somewhere. Not that a bunch of people know who I am.
I'll know who you are.
But if there's one person there who does, we don't need any violence to me. Look, I'm rooting for the Lightning. I'm all in, as they were last year. All in is getting a little old, by the way.
Yes, every team does that.
Now it's the New York Giants thing, all in.
Last year in baseball, it was the White Sox and the Red Sox.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
The White Sox now the most clutch team in the major leagues.
Now they got Dan Johnson.
Yeah. I had to retweet Todd Callis yesterday, who's very new on Twitter. If you're not following him, I'm not surprised. I just found him not long ago. If there's somebody to follow on Twitter, though, Todd Callis is the guy. And me and Todd Callis. Although you'll get a lot more insight from Todd Callis and a lot more nonsense from me. But it's a good balance.
Yes.
But no, Todd tweeted yesterday that, he was wishing Dan Johnson well. And he said, any huge home runs. I should find the tweet and quote him directly because it's not exactly what he said. But he said something along the lines of, any huge, heroic, late-season home runs should now be dubbed a Dan Johnson. And I don't disagree with him.
Yeah, any big home run I think that happens from here on out for the Rays are always going to be compared to that Dan Johnson home run against Mariano Rivera and then the home run by Longoria. Almost every big home run is going to have to be compared to those two from here on out.
Well, Dan Johnson's had a couple, though.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he had the one in the Red Sox
that was
the first time around.
Yeah.
Or at the Red Sox.
And that was off of Papelbon, too. Both of those home runs off of elite closers.
I'm not devastated to see Papelbon in Philadelphia either, believe me. I hate the Phillies.
Yeah.
But I'm just fine with him being out of the American League East.
Yeah, I'm just glad he didn't go onto a team that I liked where I had to root for him. It's good that he goes from a team that I really
I don't hate
dislike.
Jonathan Papelbon.
I don't
hate the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is that the fact that he came from there kind of skews my perception of him a little bit.
See, I've gotten over that. I've gotten to the point, unless you're a dirtbag a la Michael Vick, Leonard Little, Pac-Man Jones, one of these punks. Unless you're a dirtbag, I don't hate the person. I hate the logo.
Yeah.
And I wasn't always like that. It took me a couple years of covering sports. It took me standing in the Yankees dugout, talking to a couple of guys I'd always kind of disliked as players.
Yeah.
And learning how good people they were. And all of a sudden it's like, I can't hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good dude. And I've talked to Jonathan Papelbon in the the Red Sox clubhouse. And not a bad dude. So kind of crazy. But
you kind of need that to be a closer.
A little bit.
You need to have a little bit of an edge to you. You got to be a little bit skewed up in the head.
You need a little Rob Dibble.
Yes.
In you. I love Rob Dibble. Rob Dibble doing a great job right now.
Yes, he
on
is.
Fox Sports Radio at night. A lot of times he's on when we're leaving games. And,
yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
I wasn't a big fan of his old co-host, Mike North. They just switched it. He's got some new guy now, and I like him quite a bit better. But I love about Rob Dibble. But you got to be a little bit crazy. But you know what? if we had a microphone in our face every day, you know I'd say something ridiculous all the time. I mean, I do, but I put it in front of my own face, and I know what I'm going to say. But if somebody just randomly stuck microphones in my face, at times when I was pissed off,
Yeah.
I'd probably say some stupid crap all the time. So
Occasionally.
yeah, I rarely blame guys for saying stupid crap, unless it's Rashard Mendenhall stupid. You remember that?
Yes, I do. And that's unfortunate because I'm a Rashard Mendenhall fan, just being that he's from Illinois.
I was.
But yeah, that was incredibly stupid.
You can be an apologist for just about whoever you want. You can be an apologist for any U.S. president, and I'm behind you, especially because I respect the office of president a lot more than most people. Okay, I won't say anything bad about Barack Obama or George Bush or Bill Clinton or the first George Bush, because at the end of the day, they were all our president, and I feel like I should have some respect for the office. And if you think that a sitting president is a moron, I think you are, because you don't get there if you're stupid. You can be an apologist for just about anybody, and I'll let you get away with it. If you're an apologist for Osama bin Laden, I really, you're not quite dirtbag level, but I at least think you're a moron, and I have absolutely no respect for you ever again. And that's where I am with Rashard Mendenhall. Just stupid.
Yeah.
If you wonder why we're bouncing all over the place today, it's what we do, especially on Fridays. It's Casual Friday. We'll talk about whatever the hell we want for the entire show. We might bounce all over the place, but it'll be fun. And, of course, if you want to talk to us about what we're saying, you can always get at me directly. Some people will email the show. I'll get it. I probably won't get it during the show. Your best bet is going to Twitter. Twitter.com/PatD in Tampa. And tweet at me, because if I see that, we'll respond during the show. So just something to think about if you want to tell me how crazy I am. You're right. But you got to tweet for me to say something about it. We'll get tweets from time to time during the show from our friend Paul from Coventry, England. Big fan of the show. And a huge Rays fan,
Nice.
When people tell me they don't want to drive over the bridge, I say, talk to my boy Paul. Last summer, flew across the pond and came over here and saw some Rays baseball. I think he stayed for a week, so went to every game.
Yeah.
So if you can't drive over the bridge, talk to Paul, because he flies over, and he's flying over again this year. And Paul, unbelievable listener. We gave him a Tampa Live sports shirt. Went out and rocked it at Wembley Stadium during the Buccaneer. Did I show you the pictures?
Yes, you did.
At the Buccaneer game. And that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's funny what you're talking about, how people make excuses about going across the bridge and stuff, because that's relative. You might disagree at first, but that's relatively a new excuse. Before the Rays started winning, it used to be, if they start winning, we'll start showing up.
Yeah, you didn't hear it much then.
Then we start winning, and then it's, now it's the drive. Honestly, it's just one excuse after another why people aren't filling that stadium. I make sure I get to at least 10 games every year.
Really?
And I'll even see some on the road. 2 years ago, I went and saw 4 games in Chicago. I try to make sure that I'm there as much as I possibly can. It's going to be a little bit more difficult this season with our schedules and stuff.
Certainly.
But I'm still going to get to more games than people that don't work every night. And it's just really unfortunate that it's always just one excuse after another. I mean, when you talk about the distance getting to the game, how long do you think it takes people in New York to get to the Bronx driving in New York traffic? And they're not all living in the Bronx. People drive from all over the place. I'm sure it takes more than an hour and a half to get to a game.
I've made that comparison many times. People who are Mets fans don't live around Citi Field.
Yeah.
People who are Yankee fans don't live around Yankee Stadium. Red Sox fans, believe it, I'm from Boston. They don't live near Fenway. Nobody lives near Fenway Park. You ever been to Boston? Not too many people live there.
Yeah, I went to a White Sox and Red Sox series in Boston, and it took about 45 minutes going on different trains and stuff like that to get to the stadium. But if I would have driven,
the hell train did you start on?
It was like way out.
You needed a guide.
Yeah, it was. I was way out in the suburbs. I was in like Quincy or something like that.
45 minutes on any train in Boston. You're doing something wrong.
Okay.
You should be able to get just about anywhere on the T.
I was probably doing something wrong.
When I lived in Boston, I used to take the T just randomly anywhere. I didn't have a lot going on other than work. And when I wasn't working, I would just, if I wasn't hanging out with some of my friends, I would randomly take the T to places and just go different places. It's one of the things I dislike about Tampa Bay. And there aren't many, because I love it here. And, if you've been listening to the show or any of my shows for a while, you've heard this story. But if not, I'll tell it one more time. It's been a while. I moved here with the express interest. I don't know if express is the word I want. But anyways, I moved here with the goal of getting some experience in broadcasting in a top 20 market, which this is, and then going somewhere else. Going back to the Northeast, or hopefully going to a bigger market instead of a smaller market. But my goal was never to stay in Tampa Bay when I moved here. It was like, I wasn't a big fan of Florida in my mind because I didn't like it when I came in like 4th grade. How ignorant is that? I just thought, it's too hot. Who the hell cares about the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and the Buccaneers? I had no interest at all in being in Tampa Bay long term. Now I don't ever want to leave. I've been here for almost 6 years now, and it'll be 6 years in March, and I absolutely never want to leave. Doesn't mean it'll never happen, unfortunately, in this kind of business. You may not be in one place forever. But if I could, I would. And I remember talking to Dick Crippen early on when I moved here and I started getting into broadcasting. And Dick Crippen's a guy I've gone to when I decided to try to do Operation Wounded Warrior. He's the first guy I asked for advice on that. When I just, he's just a guy I go to, a guy I look up to, who's been in broadcasting forever in Tampa Bay. And I talked to him about it. I'm like, you're Dick Crippen. You're really good. You must have had some opportunities to go somewhere else. And he just said to me, every time I had a job offer in a bigger market, I looked at the market and the city and the living conditions and the pay raise. And at the end of the day, I thought, I don't know that I'll enjoy living there and working there, even with more money, more than I do in Tampa Bay. And he could never make that decision to leave. And at the time, I was like, I don't know. I want to expand. Now I get it. I can't imagine leaving unless it was a great opportunity.
Well, then it's also the whole hassle of moving your family. I mean, it's stressful, and it's if you're kind of on the fence, I mean, that's something that would be like, all right, if I could still live comfortably and be happy with what I'm doing here and save myself that huge hassle trying to find a new place.
You're overblowing that, Chris.
Really?
You're thinking about a guy like you and me who's broke and would have to do everything by himself.
Yes.
If you're a guy who's a good enough broadcaster that they're going to move you to Chicago or Boston or Los Angeles or New York, one of these top 5 markets, which the only thing I would see Dick Crippen even considering would have been one of those top 5. If you're a guy who's moving one of those markets, you get enough money to pay for other people to do all that crap for you. You just kind of go, don't break that.
Yeah.
That's your job moving. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. So I don't think I wouldn't think that would really be a big part of the decision.
All right. Well, I mean, it's even if you have people doing it for you, it's still stressful.
I don't know why.
Yeah. I get stressed out easily.
Other than the physical moving, I didn't see moving as stressful. I thought it was fun, actually. It's just the physical carrying everything that sucks.
Yeah.
Other than that, what's stressful about it?
I don't know. Just making sure that you have everything. Because, I mean, knowing me, I'm very forgetful. And there would be just...
hard to miss something in an empty house.
I've done it. Trust me, I've done it.
I can't make any excuses for you this time,
No.
Chris. It's your fault. All right, this is what we do here on Casual Friday. We talk about anything and everything that we feel like talking about because it's Casual Friday. It's almost time for the weekend. Almost time for Super Bowl fun day. Yes, Super Bowl Sunday. It will be a fun day, especially if you're a New York Giants fan. That's my prediction. It's going to be a fun day as well if you're in Tampa Bay and you take the time between 2 and 4 to get over to Monster Lobster for the Tampa Live Sports Monster Lobster Super Monster Big Game Party. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a crab boil outside. There'll be a live band on one side of the restaurant. On the other side of the restaurant will be us hanging out, talking with Bill Grammatica, myself and Chris, and our intern John Milo, talking all things Super Bowl. We'll get your prediction if you want to come out. Get on the mic. We'll give you a few minutes, depending on how good you are. If you're really good, we might let you stay on for like 10 minutes. If not, we're running you quick. I'm just kidding. We just want people in and out. Give us your prediction on Super Bowl 46. We'll give you ours. It's Sunday from 2 to 4 at Monster Lobster, 1901 West Platte. We'll see you there, or we better. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Pat Donovan Show with Chris Kasak. It's Casual Friday. You want to know what we're talking about when we're coming back? Better be here.
Escapes the tackler.
Gets pushed out of bounds, but
deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown.
To open, and another ace to the same position.
escapes the tackler, gets pushed out of bounds, but
deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown.
To open, and another ace to the same position.
escapes the tackler, gets pushed out of bounds, but
Deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown.
To open. And another ace to the same position.
escapes the tackler, gets pushed out of bounds, but
Deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown.
Gentlemen, get off the dance floor and start doing your chores. It's Sunday. It's Sunday afternoon and there are a few things that I have to do. And I'm gonna do them, I'm gonna do them. It's Sunday afternoon and there are a few things that I have to do. And I'm gonna do them, I'm gonna do them. First up, I gotta tidy up. My place is getting messy. Haven't cleaned it in a month. I may be
absolutely, and I'm not kidding, one of my favorite people on the planet, Jon Lajoie. Now, if you're not an adult, don't go find Jon Lajoie stuff. If you are, it's all hilarious. I absolutely love him. Saw him live with my wife, who I will make watch every one of his videos. When he comes out with a new video, I will go, honey, you got to see this. And it's always like, oh, God, again, you know. But when we saw them live, she could barely breathe. She was laughing so much. I mean, it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, all the videos that you've made me watch, I'm happy you made me watch them. They're very funny.
Oh, he's awesome.
I know you're going to disagree with me because you're such a big fan of his, but I like his videos online a lot more than how he is in the league.
I think he's funny on the league.
I think he's all right. He just doesn't seem to like mesh very well with them. I know that's kind of part of like his whole shtick.
Yeah.
Is that he's just like a weird one that doesn't really fit in with all of them.
Well, he's too busy doing crazy drugs and having sex with every woman who walks by.
Yeah.
To be concerned with the league. And if you've never seen the league, by the way, you need to see that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think he's one of the weaker characters in the show, which is unfortunate because he is very, very funny. But when he's funny on the show, he's awesome. But I don't know. I think all the other guys on that show really carry him a little bit more. But that's just me. I still think he's hilarious. His videos and his songs are just great.
Oh.
But I just don't know how well it translates to that show.
I mean, to be that creative and that bizarre at the same time, and have that, there's nothing that guy won't say.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the new one. That thing was,
Yeah.
It makes you cringe for a second and then laugh. I showed my wife that one. I told you I wouldn't. I
Yeah,
did.
you laugh and then you cringe and then you laugh.
Yeah.
And you cringe and then you laugh again at the end.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It is. Anyways, it's Casual Friday. We're going to talk about whatever the hell we want. I saw this story. I'm torn about this story. On one hand, I have the utmost respect for police officers. For me and Brent Lartz and Jan DeLone and Billy Castro, for all four of us, and for this year, you, Chris Kasak, for us to be able to go out and live stream the 620 WDAE Dodgeball Tournament, which of course benefited the fallen officers of St. Pete last year, was an absolute honor. On the other hand, I do find this story a little bit funny.
It is.
I understand why a police officer would be offended by the word pig. I would never utter that word to a police officer.
Never.
Unless I was offering him some of my delicious pulled pork. I still find this story a little bit funny. And I feel like if I were a cop, it wouldn't offend me. Because you can tell me every Italian or Irish joke in the world, and I'm half and half. I guess by my name, you probably can guess that I'm half Irish, but I'm also half Italian, or that I'm at least Irish. But I'm also half Italian. You can tell me and I heard them all because being half and half, my Irish side of the family told me all my, all the Irish jokes. And my Italian, one time I went to my dad. I said, can I have $5 for a guinea pig? He said, no, here's $10. Go get a nice little Irish girl. But no, I'm not offended by Irish or Italian jokes. I'm not offended by fat jokes. I've been fat my whole life. It just doesn't bother me. So if I were a cop, I wouldn't care if somebody made the joke about a pig. It's one thing if you call a guy a pig to his face.
But if you're just making a joke about it, I wouldn't be offended either. I mean, you got to have some thicker skin and just laugh. Just laugh about some stuff. And this is funny.
Dude, if you're a cop, you go through a lot worse crap than somebody calling you a pig.
Yes, you do.
That's going to be the easy part of your day. I could never be a cop.
Well, especially if it's done creatively, like in this story, which is pretty funny. Like, I think any cop would just have to kind of shrug it off and just laugh about it because it's funny.
Yeah, and you understand why the official statement wasn't like, we thought it was kind of funny because, of course, they wasted a bunch of money and they're going to have to fix what was done. And what was done is, I'll read this for you from Reuters. Inmates working at a Vermont correctional unit. And again, you're in Vermont. There's already nothing to do.
Yeah.
You're in prison in Vermont. No wonder why they're looking for crap to do. Inmates working at a Vermont correctional unit's print shop managed to sneak a prank image of a pig into a state police crest that is emblazoned, what a great word, emblazoned, on police cars and 30 cruisers sported the design for the last year. So not only did they sneak this pig into the crest, they actually got it painted on cars. 30 cars drove around with this pig on the car for a year.
And nobody noticed.
I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, that it made it that far to actually get printed and blown up to be put on a cop car. It's obviously going to be enlarged, and still nobody noticed it for a year. That is just hilarious.
I wonder how the hell they finally figured it out. Who was sitting there one day drinking his coffee, talking to his friend, and goes, dude, I just noticed there's a damn pig on the cow. And that's how they snuck it in. If you've seen the state police crest of Vermont, which I'm sure you haven't, I know I hadn't until this story, basically in the crest, there's a cow. He's standing across from, I don't know what the hell it is. It looks like three little bear guys. You know what it looks like? Do you ever see the iPhone versus Evo thing that
Yeah,
came out
yeah.
with the little guys? That's what they look like, these little bears. I don't know if that's what they are or what the hell they are, but there's a cow standing across from these three things. There's a tree in the background, and then snowy mountains behind it. And it says Vermont State Police. So you say, how did they sneak a pig onto that thing? Well, what they did is they actually want to, and it's pretty damn blatant. It's not that, when you look at it, you're like, how the hell did it take them a year to find that?
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of looking to find it.
It's on the cow. One of the spots on the cow is a freaking pig. And, again, I have all the respect in the world for police. We at Tampa Live Sports have been so thrilled to work with 620 on their dodgeball thing. And don't get it twisted. 620 is the one who puts this whole thing together, raises all this money. We just happen to get to show up and stream it live and talk to some of the people there. We talked to Ron. Ron did not fulfill his media obligations. He screwed as soon as Ian's team beat him. I had to call the next day and let Ron know on the air that we were very disappointed he did not fulfill his media obligation. But we talked to Ian Beckles. We talked to the mayor, Bill Foster, who we saw last night. What a good guy. I may not agree with him on the Rays situation. I may want the Rays in Tampa Bay or in Tampa. But Bill Foster's a heck of a guy.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
I know it's easy to hear what he said. You got to understand his position. I know it's easy to hear what he says and get pissed off. He's a great, great guy. But 620 does all the entire event, raises all the money. We're just fortunate enough to go out there and interviews. Jack Harris was there. Like, we really just a great time. And they're doing it again this year. They haven't set a date yet. I know it's going to be probably late June, mid-July when it does happen. And I suspect, we haven't sat down and talked about it, I know they were really happy with what we did last year. I suspect we'll be out there again this year.
Well, it's going to be really tough for us to cover it when we're participating in the tournament and we're just tearing through everybody.
It's not.
It's not?
It's not, because these matches, boom, over. They're really fast. So what we figured out, there's two fields.
Okay.
Okay? Because 2 years ago, this is how amazing the job they do at 620. 2 years ago, they did the tournament with 64 teams. Sold out so freaking fast. Last year, they doubled it.
Wow.
128 teams. And it's still sold out fast. So they've got two fields going on at once. And the games go really, really quickly. So what we figured out is we can basically leave our broadcast position, leave the camera, leave the broadcast position, leave the board, whoever we have there, me, you, John Milo, Billy Castro, Brent Lars, whoever gets out there, we can leave our position, put the camera on the one field that we're on, and then go out and play, and then run back and talk about, most likely, how we just got our asses beat. Because I'm not predicting us doing very well. I'm going to be honest.
But no, I'm predicting us doing very well.
I'm a large target, my friend.
But you got a cannon, don't you?
No.
No? All right.
I throw like a girl who doesn't throw good. All right? I throw like the bad girl on the team. I don't just throw like a girl. Some guys throw like a girl, but it's like the all-star. I'm like the bad girl on the team. I got no arm. I'm soft, man.
Well, something that we should look into is getting you a wireless mic so you could announce the game while you're playing.
That's clever. I like that.
Yeah.
We one hand mic, other hand ball.
Yes.
Dominating.
So then you also have an excuse.
That would be hilarious.
Then you also have an excuse if you don't do well.
Can I block the ball with the mic?
They might consider that being hit. I don't know if you're allowed to bring props out there to block. I mean, if you could, then I would just walk out there with a big plate glass window and just like a shield.
One thing that's good, and I learned this last year. I learned not all of them. I learned some of the official rules last year. We had a guy come over, kind of talk to us about it. If you catch the ball, not only is the guy who threw it out, you get one of your teammates back in.
Yeah, I learned that in the movie Dodgeball.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't remember. It's not one of the big four. I really don't know that much about it. But so I can catch. I got good hands.
Yeah.
So, I'm fat. I'm a big target. I'm slow. I throw like a bad girl. And that doesn't mean a dirty girl. That means like not a very good athlete.
Uncoordinated.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't see myself faring very. There's some ringers in there, man. The team
Well, we need to get ourselves some ringers.
The team that won last year, They were all from Boston, and they were like a traveling dodgeball team.
Wow.
Like, it's what they did. Anyways, so we went into the police thing enough.
Yeah, we did.
We went into it enough. You know what happened in Vermont. I don't know if you think it was funny. I have all this respect in the world for police officers, but that's pretty damn clever.
Yeah, I think it's funny. You're just sitting in a prison. You're thinking of a way to get back at the cops, and they did. It's kind of immature and ridiculous, but it's still funny. Still very funny. I think more so what the funny part of it is just that it went so long without being noticed.
You know, here's the thing about getting back at the cops. All the cops want you to do is grow the hell up.
Yeah.
All they want you to do is get it. You know, I had a situation about a month ago where I was, I don't want to say victim because that sounds like, you know, I was a chump. Basically, I had a guy randomly pull up next to my car and spray pepper spray in my car. And, you know, when I talked to the cop about it, she said, I think you should follow up on this. I think you should report this. And, you know, at the end of the day, maybe the guy needs some help. And it was really, you know, talking to her really gave me a lot of insight into how cops think. And I'm not to say every cop, because a police officer, like an athlete, like a politician, like a doctor, like a nurse, it does not matter the profession. There's a bunch of pricks in every single profession, and there's a bunch of great people in every single profession. So I'm not saying all of them, but the good ones, and there's a lot of them, especially here in Tampa Bay. I've had so much. I mean, when I first moved to Tampa Bay, I would get pulled over once a week, at least, because there was a guy with the exact same name as me. His birthday was 1 month off, wanted for vehicular homicide and tampering of evidence. So I got pulled over all the time. They thought it was him.
Wow.
It was a whole situation, but always handled with a lot of class. And just in general, the police around here are fantastic. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know where you're going either.
But, you know.
Casual Friday.
There are some bad ones, but there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones down here. But it really was, you know, it was interesting. It wasn't like this woman, and it was a woman cop who came out to the incident. It wasn't like she thought, let's go get this dirtbag off the streets, you know. And I told her, I said, I'm torn about even reporting this at all because the guy had a Marines plate on his truck, and I have so much respect for the military that, you know, granted, this guy was a jerk, but, you know, what if he's going through something? And that's what she said. She said, you know what? He could be back, and he could be, you know, going through a lot because of what he saw in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever he may have been stationed. And at the end of the day, maybe he really needs some help. And I thought it was really, really cool to see a cop think, hey, this might not be a terrible person. This might be a decent person. He went over and served our country, most likely, if that Marines plate was real. And maybe he just needs some help. And I really like, you know, looking at and seeing a police officer have that kind of aspect, have that kind of foresight to think, doesn't mean this guy's a dirtbag, but maybe he needs some help.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of just trying to enforce the law and be like, this guy needs to be punished. It was more so like this guy might need some help. And that's what a lot of cops are like that. But like you said, I mean, there's also some of the pricks, as you put it, in every profession. And I mean, but still, like, it doesn't mean you got to generalize all cops like that because most of them are just trying to help. But it still doesn't make that story any less funny. I wouldn't call a cop a pig. Hilarious. But I think it's funny that they drive around in their cars with pigs on their cars.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break. Almost done already. What a fun. That's what happens on Casual Friday. We ramble. Hopefully it's fun to listen to. It's certainly fun to talk about. And we'll be right back. It's the Pat Donovan Show with Chris Kasak right here on your home for live streaming sports in Tampa Bay. See you Sunday. We'll be back for one more segment, but then we better see you Sunday at Monster Lobster. 1901 West Platte. It's the Tampa Live Sports Monster Lobster Super Monster Big Game Party.
Escapes the tackler, gets pushed out of bounds, but
deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown.
position. And another ace in the same position.
Escapes the tackler, gets pushed out of bounds, but
Deep, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar will walk in again with another Berkeley Prep touchdown. You old enough to remember this one, Chris?
I don't know. Give me a second.
This is old school now. It is the Pat Donovan Show. Pat Donovan, Chris Kasak here from the Tampa Live Sports Studios. Going a little old school here in the last segment on Casual Friday.
When I first saw ya, I thought that I knew ya. Now I know I don't, just wish that I did. Honey made a right, stepped off, took flight. Upstairs, up more, made a left and hid. Looked down at my shoes and the cuff in my
Don't exactly remember all the lyrics, so I figure I'll bring down the volume before I make a mistake that says we can't put this show on the website or YouTube.
Yeah, as you start trailing off, the music starts trailing off, right? As you stop remembering the lyrics, you just slowly bring it down.
Yeah. That's old school, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's 8th grade or so for me, which was, what, infancy for you, you young jerk?
Maybe.
You make me feel old all the time, man. It's not cool. You and John Milo and all these kids that we see every night doing high school sports. Get to see some kids from Canada tonight.
Yeah.
Special broadcast tonight from the Tampa Bay Times Forum. It's going to be Manatee, who has won the last 2 Lightning Conference Cups. Don't know I'd say they're the favorite this year. I really like Freedom, really like Mitchell. But Manatee is well coached. Our friend Phil Atkinson does a good job with those kids. And they're going to see what they're all about tonight. You have to assume that a team flying down from Nova Scotia is pretty good.
Yeah.
Look, I don't care how good of a coach you are. I don't care how nice of a guy you are. You're not loading up a plane full of kids to fly them down to Florida if they stink.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, you also don't play hockey in Canada if you stink.
By the way, Black Sheep, Similac Child was the name of that song. You remember Black Sheep at least?
Yes, I do. Yes.
You probably remember them from the Kia commercial.
No, I remember. I remember them before Kias existed.
All right, you remember Engine Number 9? Engine Number 9? That was the song.
Yeah, yeah.
You can get with this, or you can
can
get with that.
Yes.
I would get with this because this is where it's at. Right here on Tampa Live Sports. But yeah, the roster's in my room. Bizarre name of this school. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing. It's like the North Nova Educational Center.
That's what they call schools up there, educational centers?
I guess.
Instead of just calling it like a high school or a middle
Yeah,
school?
I don't know. That's what this school is called anyways. The North Nova Educational Center Griffins. So we got our friends at Sickles are called the Griffins. Well, we get some Griffins coming down here from Canada to take on Manatee. And it's going to be at the Tampa Bay Times Forum. The puck drops at 7 o'clock tonight. Of course, you can catch that on Live Channel 1. Just $1.35 if you're watching tonight. But this should be interesting. I feel like if you're from Canada, you should come down here and win tonight and then win both games tomorrow because they're playing 2 tomorrow in Ellington.
Oh, wow.
And we would have went out there and done it, but of course tomorrow back to HCC for Hillsborough Community College basketball. Hopefully they win tomorrow so I can give Byron Samuels a hard time. Can't give him a hard time after a loss.
No, and that was a tough loss, too.
It was. If they win tomorrow night, though, I get to say, hey, it's difficult as a Cowboy fan to watch the Giants win another Super Bowl, what you're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't want to bring something like that up after a loss. You could
and a double overtime loss at that.
Yeah, you could stray from the normal questions after a game and get a little bit more silly with it after a win when he's in good spirits, but I don't see any way he was in a good mood after that last one. Lost on a buzzer beater in double overtime, and yeah, that was a tough one.
It's night and day. Byron's very good. It's night and day in a clubhouse or a locker room after a win versus a loss. After a win, every single guy is ready to talk to you. After a loss, especially with the Buccaneers, half of them are out of the locker room before you're even in there. Because you got to wait. When you come down after a Buccaneer game, you go in the tunnel, you wait until they decide they're ready to let you in the locker room. And it's amazing after a loss how many of those guys are walking past you with their bags.
Yeah.
And after a win, they're all in there waiting to talk.
Or they do the old fake cell phone call maneuver, just walking by like they're busy on their cell phone.
No, not really.
Too busy to talk. No, they don't pull one of those?
Nah. Everyone's too naked. It's very creepy. I got to say, as much as football is my favorite sport by a long shot, I much prefer covering baseball. Covering baseball as a reporter, so much more enjoyable than football. And part of it here is the fact that as gorgeous as Raymond James Stadium is, it's a Super Bowl stadium.
Yeah.
You don't get the Super Bowl unless you have one of the best buildings in the business.
Definitely.
As gorgeous as that building is, the freaking locker room is about 5 square feet.
Wow.
So there's nothing better than being in a group of about 20 guys, all sword fighting with your microphones, all right, trying to get in front of the guy. And then there's guys coming out of the shower. Because there's no room in there, they're like rubbing against you, getting you all wet and gross. It's not fun. I love the access. I love being able to talk to the guys after a game.
The environment seems like it could improve a little bit.
They could have opened that room. I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe the opposing locker room may be bigger than the Buccaneer locker room, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
I don't know if it's bigger, if it's just set up better or what. I've been in the opposing locker room a number of times because I've either worked freelance for another team, or not another team, but another city, or I've decided I wanted to ask a guy a question, or when the Giants were here, I said, I'm going and doing the Giants postgame, and my guy Dave Druda, who's out in Houston right now, producing the Tim Brando show, said, I'll cover the Bucs for you that day. You can cover the Giants. And I went in that locker room, and I'm like, there's so much room to move around. What the hell's going on? In the Bucs locker room, forget it.
Wow, that's weird.
It's weird.
They usually do the opposite of that. They usually treat the home team a little bit nicer than they treat the road team.
Yeah. And on top of that, National Football League, I love you. But not the kind of access you get with baseball, okay? Before the game, forget it. You're not near that locker room. You're not near the field unless you're a sideline reporter or a camera guy. You're not on the field at all anymore. It used to be for the NFL like it is for college, where you can go down the last 5 minutes of the game and be on the sideline. Not anymore. Nope, not at all.
Wow.
You've got no reason to be there. which is true.
Yeah.
I don't need to be there. It's just fun. So I'm not mad at them, but just a different animal. Not that you can go on the field during a baseball game because
no, but they have batting practice and stuff, and it's a little bit looser. You see players
looser.
players having a little bit more fun. Like, it's not as serious as I guess the NFL is pregame and everything leading up to it.
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit different considering that you only have 8 home games and 16 games in a season. It makes each one of them that much more important.
Certainly.
But when you have a 162 game schedule, you got to stay loose to just keep yourself from going crazy. If you're just ratcheting up your intensity for every game in a 162 game season, the off season you're just going to spend on your back sleeping the entire time. Like, you need to save a little bit and you need to keep it loose.
Yeah, it's just such a different animal, man. I loved my first 2 years covering the Rays. I went to almost every home game, and I showed up early almost every day. And I would sit in the ballpark, different places, just to see the vantage point, just to kind of, I love that ballpark. It sounds crazy. I know they need a new one. I want it here in Tampa. I love that ballpark. I've been in almost not every seat, but just about every vantage point in that building. Sometimes I would get there early and just sit next to the Ray tank and watch the Rays for a little while. It's just a cool place to be. I would get there early and just sit in the dugout and watch batting practice. You can go into either clubhouse up to an hour before every game. So if you heard when I played for you, the Carlos Pena,
Yes.
giving me batting tips.
Hilarious.
You never get something like that in the NFL unless you do it during the week. Never game day. You got up to an hour before a game. You've got an opportunity to talk to guys about things that aren't necessarily baseball related. It's why I like BJ Upton a lot more than people outside, people who have never been in that clubhouse do, because I've had the opportunity to talk to him one-on-one when there's nobody around and it's not about baseball, and he's a good kid.
Yeah.
So it's just such a different animal with baseball. I absolutely love covering the game of baseball.
Yeah, you get a much, from what I hear, you get a much better perspective of who the players are as people. Because with football, like you said, like, they're not as loose. They don't, you can't get like what you had with Carlos Pena with somebody in the NFL unless it's week of the game coming after, like during the week, and coming off of a win, where they're in a little bit of a better mood.
They're all right during the week, man.
Really,
you got to realize it's a job. As much as they care more than people give them credit for, it is a job. And once that day's over, plus teams all have a policy. You hear it all the time. Half an hour, forget about it.
Yeah.
Win, loss, whatever it is.
We got another
forget
week.
about it.
Yeah.
You got something else to think about. During the week, guys aren't in a bad mood if they just lost. It just doesn't happen. You got to remember, they got a day-to-day life. If you hold on to that all week like we do, as a player, it's going to kill these guys.
Yeah.
But I love the access with baseball. I love covering the game of baseball. It's funny that you brought up the difference between 8 home games or 10 with the preseason versus 160 or 81 home games, I should say, for the Rays. I mentioned one time, and we got to close the show out here, but we'll just tell you the story real quick first. I mentioned one time to a guy who writes, I'm trying to remember, I think he writes for the Trib. And we were sitting down talking before a game at a Buccaneer game. And I go, man, this food is amazing. And it's free. At the Trop, at Rays games, the food's good. It's not amazing. And we got to pay money for it. It's like $6. Now it's $8, but at the time it was $6. And he goes, well, the Rays feed you 81 times a year. The Bucks feed you 10 times a year. And I went, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right. And that was the end of that conversation. Just like that.
Ended it quick.
He cleared it all up for me. Anyways, that's all we have for you today. We will talk to you on Sunday from 2 to 4. Get your ass over to Monster Lobster, or at least check it out right here on your home for live streaming sports in Tampa Bay. Much more fun to come out there. Sit down with us. We'll put you on the air. We'll get your prediction. You get some crab boil action, $20 a plate, crab, corn, potatoes, all kinds of delicious stuff. Going to be over at Monster Lobster, of course. You can take the Monster Lobster Challenge. I've already put it out there. You take the Monster Lobster. Dan Foster last night, by the way, tells me he can do it under 10 minutes. He better get down there. I want to see it. Anyways, if you can beat the Monster Lobster Challenge, you can come out and do play-by-play and color work next to me for a game on Tampa Live Sports. That's the challenge, because I know you can't do it. Not you can't sit next to me, because anybody can do that. I mean, I make people look good.
Heck, I do it.
I make people look good by being so bad. So if you can beat the Monster Lobster Challenge, you can come call a game right here on your home for live streaming sports. That's all we have for you today. We'll see you next time right here on the Pat Donovan Show. Come out Sunday. It's the Monster Lobster big game party with Tampa Live Sports. And come give us your prediction. We'll see you then.
See you.